All right, so it's August 1st, which means it's right around that time of year that people that are in a lucky position, such as myself, get to go and play the new Call of Duty early. Now, as a part of a disclaimer, I need to tell you guys that I didn't stay in a hotel and I didn't have to take any kind of an airplane because I live in the area that they had this event, but they did send a driver to come pick me up, take me to the event, and then take me back home afterwards. So that's my FTC disclaimer, and now with that out of the way, I want to talk to you guys a bit about Modern Warfare. All right, so there's a whole lot to talk about when it comes to Modern Warfare, simply because this is the most unique and distinct game entry in the series yet. It is without a doubt the most radical departure yet. I mentioned that on the last video that I did. I made, I think, 1 or 2 videos on this game already a couple months ago. I'll link that in the description if you're curious and you want to see more gameplay. You can do that. But this game is more different than something like Call of Duty 4 than Advanced Warfare was. And that game introduced jetpacks and freaking fast dodges and uplink and all. That game was way different from any other game. And this game has Advanced Warfare beat in terms of the direction that it took the series and how different it is from the rest of the games. For better or worse, I'm not making a judgment on it just yet. Let me just get it out of the way right now, because I think that's probably the biggest question that people are going to have, or the most pressing question that people are going to have is, did you like it? My answer is going to be this. It is impossible to form a judgment one way or the other from playing even 5 hours of game time. I think I put around 5 hours into this game so far between the 2 events that I played in. And even with 5 hours, which seems like a lot, it is not enough time to form a judgment. I'm not going to know until probably 30 or 40 hours in whether or not I like the game. But here's what I will say if you're looking for some kind of a judgment. I am intrigued. I want to play more, but I'm also wary and somewhat apprehensive. There's a couple things that have me feeling like there's kind of a big risk being taken with this game, and I don't know how people are going to react to it. I have a hunch, I have an idea, but I have no idea if I'm right. So that's going to be, I'm just going to lead with that. I'm intrigued. I definitely want to play more. If we're going to get kind of granular with it, it is without a doubt the most beautiful Call of Duty game yet. This game looks better than any other entry in the series by far. It's not even close. Like Black Ops 4 is a good looking game, but it has sort of a kind of a comic booky sort of vibe to it, you know, like a playful animation style. This is much more gritty. The light flares, the shadows, the textures, the character models, the gun models. It is astonishingly good looking, even on console. This is PC gameplay, by the way. So the game type that you guys are watching right now is a game type called Cyber Attack, and it's basically a new twist on the old search and destroy format, except this time a bomb spawns in the center of the map, and either team can go for it and go for the plant. And I think there's a couple different sites that you can plant it at. You can revive people if they've been downed. Normally, I don't love games that have revive mechanics. I didn't love it in Black Ops 1 with Last Stand Pro. Really bothered me. But in this game type, it totally fit. Basically plays like a little bit more aggressive version of Search and Destroy. Now, I don't know if they're going to have vanilla S&D in the game. I would speculate that they will, that they'll have both this and Search and Destroy. But I have no idea. It's pure speculation at this point. I struggled in the beginning. I was playing on a rig that wasn't mine, on a mouse pad that was much, much smaller than what I was used to, so I had to kind of make myself a wrist player. I normally play with my whole arm using a giant mouse pad on PC. That's like the only way that I can aim decently well. And so it was a bit of an adjustment. The first probably 20 to 30 minutes were kind of tough, and this was the second game that I had played that day. But I still managed to do pretty okay. And you guys will see I have a couple really big rounds by the end of this gameplay. But I'm not really too interested in talking about the game type and beyond just saying that I enjoyed it. I had a good time with it. What I really want to talk to you guys today about is the gunsmith, the addition of the gunsmith mechanic in this game. So they've totally rehauled the way that you can customize your weapons in Modern Warfare. And I think this is probably the biggest change that they've made in the game, and it's the change that I most enjoyed. I thought it was a really good thing that they did. Normally, in the last few Call of Duties, you can add something like 6 attachments, and if you use wildcards, you can, change things up and spice it up that way. This time, they've given you 8 slots on the ARs at least. I think it's different depending on the weapon type. So snipers might have 6 and LMGs might have 5 or something like that. I'm not sure. But there's 8 different slots on the AR that you can add an attachment to. There's a muzzle slot, lasers, optics, stock, rear grip, magazine, underbarrel, and barrel. On top of that, they give you the option to add a perk to your gun. So it could be sleight of hand. Or it could be another perk I remember seeing was that when you shoot someone, it slightly delays their health regeneration, which I thought was kind of interesting. I didn't really get to play around with it too much. And it gives you 5 points that you can spend on your gun. So you can't add an attachment to each one of these slots. You can only pick 5 points. And if you use a perk, that costs a point. So you can only add 4 attachments. But the attachments that you do add, you guys, change the gun dramatically. Like, for example, the AK. If you there's an option to add no stock, to take the stock completely off, and then it behaves much more like an AK-74U. It basically turns it into a submachine gun. You can add another attachment to up the fire rate too. If you really want to go that route and turn that gun into the AK-74U, you can do that. They had magazines that changed the ballistics of the weapon. So it would change it from 5.56 to something more powerful. But then it would also dramatically decrease the size of the magazine. So I was playing with an M4A1 in 20v20 DOM, and I messed around with a magazine that took it down from 30 rounds to 10 rounds, but there was more recoil, but it was more powerful. So the different combinations that you can work with using these guns, like I said, dramatically change the gun itself. And I think that's the most interesting part of what I saw. Beyond just the graphical updates and how the movement feels different, a little bit more sluggish, a little bit slower. Opening doors, things like that. We've never had that in a Call of Duty before, as far as I can remember. The gunsmith, above all that, was the most interesting thing for me. I think it's going to be the thing that I sink my most of my energy into during launch week. Just kind of tooling around in private matches and figuring out which attachments work best on which guns, and the combinations that you can have with these attachments is absurd. And like I said, the guns just behave completely differently. You can focus all of your points and attachments on making the gun more mobile and making yourself more mobile. So you get more mobility or more speed. You get more speed with aim down sights, faster time, readying up after sprint, things like that. But then it might come at the cost of aiming down sights, like the time it takes to actually aim down sights. So there's pros and cons to each one of the attachments that you add. And that's never been in the game. Like if you added extended mags on an AK in Black Ops 1, it didn't come at the cost of increased hipfire spread or something like that. And so you can tell that they put a lot of time and energy and thought into what these attachments do and what sort of combinations different players can make to cater to their playstyle. It's by far the most interesting part of Modern Warfare, you guys, is the gunsmith, and I'm very, very excited to get in there and just mess around with it. Okay, so now that I've talked a little bit about the new game type and the new mechanics with the gunsmith, I want to talk a little bit about what I'm most concerned about when it comes to this game. So what I'm most concerned about is they have really drastically altered the pacing of the game and the flow of the game. With the addition or the re-addition, because it used to be in the game at one point, of contextual lean, and the way that the maps are laid out, and the fact that you can barricade yourself in a building and close the door, it's a much, much more tactical experience. I'm not saying it's tactical on the level of Rainbow Six Siege, which is just basically pure tactics, but it is much more tactical when you compare it with a game like Black Ops 3 or even Black Ops 4, where the whole pacing is more geared towards rushing and pushing and aggression. I feel like the newer games have rewarded aggression way more than the older games. in a way, it's kind of hearkening back to the old COD 4 maps, and it's kind of interesting because just today, I played in a throwback Modern Warfare Remastered tournament. So it was interesting to go from one night playing Modern Warfare 2019, and then the next day going back and playing Modern Warfare from 2008, I believe is when that game came out, maybe 2007. I think it was 2007 actually. So here we are 12 years later, and they're, even though Modern Warfare Remastered, the original Modern Warfare, even though that game was pretty hectic and crazy, there was a lot of head glitches. There were a lot of places that you could post up, power positions, things like that. If you wanted to pitch a tent and plant some claymores and just chill, you could do that on a lot of those maps. And this, you can tell that they really explored that more when it came to this game. And I don't know how a lot of the people that are used to the more fast-paced Call of Duties that we've gotten used to in the last few years, I don't know how they're going to respond to this. I think a lot of people are not going to respond very well to it. And I'm on the fence myself. I'm not even 100% sure how I feel about it just yet. I need more time playing. Like I said, I'll just reiterate. I'm intrigued, but I'm skeptical. I want to keep playing, but I do have concerns, and I don't quite know how this game is going to be received. I literally have no idea. If I had to guess, if you put a gun to my head and said, what do you think is going to happen? I really have no idea. I'm very curious to see what you guys think about this game when the beta launches. It's an open beta, I think, starting on the 12th, which will have been announced by the time this video goes up. And yeah, that's my video. If you guys like this video, if you have any questions, leave a comment down below. If you liked it, consider hitting that like button. If you like this channel, consider subscribing. And if you like streams, check out twitch.tv/Hutch. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'll talk to you later.